Hi, my name is Nick Mihailovski. I work on the Google Analytics team. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Google Analytics dashboard using Google Sites, Google Spreadsheets, and a new integration we have with Google Apps Scripts. Google Apps Scripts is JavaScript in the cloud and allows you to access many of Google's services, including Google Analytics. And so we've released a new integration that allows you to use Google Apps Scripts to access the Google Analytics API. And with that, I can create a nice little dashboard and share it with other people. So here's the dashboard that I'm going to show you how you can create. Here's a little demo. This is showing me, it's a Google site that's showing me visitors, visits, and page views over time. It's fully interactive here. I could change it, roll over to numbers. I also have another little visualization of data that's showing me the top pages on my site, organized by page views. And this little dashboard is really convenient. The data automatically updates every hour. I don't actually have to go in and refresh any data. It's all automated. I could share this with anybody on my team, even if they don't have access to Google Analytics, because the data is in a different location. They don't have to have access to GA. Instead, they could just have access to the spreadsheet. So it's a really convenient way for me to share data with other people. Now, this little dashboard is actually powered by a Google spreadsheet. And so if I go over to the Google spreadsheet, here we see the visualization on the right that's embedded. And then on the left-hand side here is all the underlying table. So we're saying the date, the visitors, visits, and page views. And this is the data that we're getting from the Google Analytics API using Google Apps Scripts. And this is the data over time. I have another tab here that's showing me all the different pages. And then here on the left-hand side is the underlying data source. So today I'm going to show you is how to actually recreate this dashboard. Again, we released this little script and application that pretty much takes care of all the code for you. Of course, you can write your own script to do this, but we realize that most people just want to do this right out the box and save time. So we've gone ahead and created a little tool, and I'm going to walk you through how the tool works and how to recreate what I just did. So there's 4 steps in using the tool. You first want to install and configure what we call the magic script. This is the Google Apps script that we wrote. Then you want to create your first report. I'm going to show you how you can automate your report so it gets data over time, and then we're going to build a dashboard. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first step is to install and configure the script. So I'm going to go create a new tab. I'm going to go to Drive, Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet. And I'm going to title this Nick's Demo. Okay. So to get all the different app scripts, we actually have this in the script gallery. And if you go to Tools, Script Gallery, we can go in here, look under Public, and let's search for Magic. And it's the Google Analytics Report Automation Magic Script is what we're going to demo. So we'll click Install. It'll take a second to install this here. And we don't need to do this right now. We'll just say it's installed. We'll close it. Great. So we've installed the script. Now we need to go ahead and configure the script to access our data. All the data in Google Analytics require, any sort of scripts that access data through the Google Analytics API requires registration. It's completely free. It's simple to do. And I'm going to walk you through how to do that. So if you go to Tools, you go to the Script Editor. The script editor shows all the code that actually we wrote for the script. You can use it. It's a great starting point if you want to write your own script. There's a lot of best practices in here. But you actually don't have to touch anything. All you need to do is go under Resources, go ahead under Use Google APIs, and this is where we're going to allow the script to access Google Analytics data. And so you only have to set this up the first time. And so I'm going to go ahead and click. I'm going to go under the Google Analytics version 3, go ahead and click on, and then I need an API key. And the API key you get through the Google's API console. So I'm going to go ahead to the APIs console over here. There's a new tab that got created. I'm going to go and create a new project. So Nick's Demo. Under the services on the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and enable Analytics API. And then finally, I'm going to click under API Access. Now, under Simple API Access, there's an API key And this is just the text, the string I actually need for my API key. So I'm going to select it, copy it. I'm going to go back to the script and paste that value right there. Okay, that was pretty simple, straightforward. You can watch the video again. After I do that, I hit save, and we're good to go. We've configured, installed, and configured the script, and everything should work fine. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Again, you have to only do this the first time. Once you've done it, you don't have to do it again. So I've gone ahead and installed the script. I'm going to click refresh, and the script's going to run when once it's installed. It takes a second here after it's been installed. And what we've seen, there it is. We've seen a new menu item called Google Analytics, which the script created for us. When we installed the script, we also created a new tab called GA-config. And GA-config is going to contain all the different report configurations. It doesn't contain the data, it contains the report configurations. So the first thing we want to do now is create a report in Analytics. So I go to the tab, and we can create core reports. We can also create multi-channel funnel reports. For this demo, we'll just look at a core report. We'll go ahead and select that. And what happens is, in this, we'll have to go ahead and authorize here. This is allowing the script to grant access to my data. So I'll go ahead and grant access to the data. Go ahead and close it. Okay, so I've granted access. Let me try this one more time here. You only have to actually grant access once. Once you've granted access, you can query the API over and over and over again. You don't have to actually go through that flow, and that way you can, when you automate this, there's nothing that's stopping you. You just continue getting the data. Okay, so after I clicked the Create Core Report, we create under the GA-config tab a list of configurations for the specific report I want to pull. There's a bunch of query parameters here. All these query parameters correspond to the core reporting API, and so if you want a detailed definition of what those are, you can take a look at a reference doc, and at the end of the video there's a bunch of references where you can learn about these different parameters. I'm going to walk you through the main ones. In Google Analytics, all reports belong to what's called a reporting profile, and through our API you specify the reporting profile through a parameter called IDs or IDS. So to get the IDS parameter, we created a little tool. It's under the Google Analytics tab. It says Find Profile IDs. Go ahead and click that. It works. We run a couple queries to our management API here, and a little dialog pops up. Here we can select our account or web property and a profile. So if you have any accounts, this is for the user who's authorized. In this case, we're going to go ahead and click this Google Stored, and it's this GA parameter. There it is. The GA parameter that we're going to use for the IDS. So we go ahead and copy that and paste it there. You can specify the start and end date, just like you can configure the date range in Analytics. In this case, we just want to query for the last end day. So we'll look for the last 28 days. For metrics, we're going to look at GA visitors, look at GA visits, and GA page views. Now there's a whole bunch of dimensions and metrics that you can query with our API. There's a whole list. You can link to it from, we linked to it from the reference section at the end of the video. So take a look at that. Here we're looking for visitors, visits, and page views, and we want to look at them by day, so we look at GA date. And we want to output the results into a new Google Sheet called Report 1. Okay, so there we have it. We've configured our first report, and now we can go to the Google Analytics menu tab and click Get Data. We're going to execute this query to the Google Analytics API. The query is going to go run, the API is going to fetch the data, and then the results are going to get formatted into a new sheet. Great, so we just query the API. A little dialog comes up that tells us whether any errors occurred or everything was successful. Here we see everything was successful and it's done, so we can close the dialog. Sometimes we just need to go between the sheets, and boom, there's all the data from the API. There's no code required. There's a little configuration, but once we've done it, we now have easy access to all the data in the API. What's nice about the data being in Google Spreadsheets is, of course, that once you have the data, there's some really nice built-in visualization. So if we select the data and click Insert Chart here, By default, the data will automatically come into a chart. We can go ahead and insert that, and boom, we have a nice little chart visualization of the data we pulled through the API. Pretty easy. Great, so let's go ahead and create maybe another report. Again, all the report configurations in this JConfig tab. And so let's create another core report. I'll go up to Google Analytics. I'll create a core report. The script will run here. And we see another configuration, 2 columns for the configuration. So this next report, I'm going to query for the same profile, J1174. Last 10 days, it's going to be last 28 days. The metrics in this case, I want to do GA page views. And the dimensions, I want all the pages on the site. So I'll say GA page path. This time I want to sort it by page views to get the top 25 pages on the site. So I'll sort by minus GA page views. The minus sign means that I want to sort by descending order. Again, all of this is documented in the API documentation. I only want the top 25 results, so I'll go ahead and click 25. And in this sheet, I want the output to be put into report number 2. Great. So now I want to get the data for this new report. I go back to Google Analytics and I click Get Data. And now what happens is the script goes and it's going to go and it's going to see both of these query configurations. It's going to go execute the query for query 1 here and put the results into report 1. And then it's going to go execute query 2 and put the final results in report 2. Great. So we've just got the data back from the API. The status tells us that we found 2 report configurations, which is correct. We executed the query 1 and it was successful and it wrote the results. We executed query 2 here, it was successful and the script's done. And this little report status is nice. For example, if query 1 failed, you'll see that query 1 failed here, but query 2 might have succeeded. So we try to run all the different queries in order, and if one fails, we continue executing the other ones, and then alert happens as well. So I'll go ahead and close this. I'll jump back between the 2, and there it is. Boom. Here's all the data we got from the API. Again, no code, just a little bit of configuration. It's pretty easy to do. Again, I could go ahead and select this and use some of the built-in visualizations to Google Spreadsheets. I'll go ahead and click Insert Chart. Click on Charts. Under More, there's a table chart. I'll go ahead and insert that table chart there. And here's just a nice little quick visualization of the data. Great, so I just showed you how to create data and create reports, get data from the API. Now, let's say you've gone ahead and you found your 2 reports. Now you want to pull this data every day. In Google Spreadsheets, there's some very nice features called triggers that allow you to automate pulling all this data. And let me show you how to use that. So we first need to go to Tools, and we'll go to the Script Editor. And again, the Script Editor is where all the magic happens with all the code. There's a feature here under Resources called Triggers, and Triggers allows you to automate scripts in AppScript. So I'll click on all my triggers here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new trigger. The trigger is now going to call Get Data. And so the Get Data functions, we use the Get Data menu item to get all the data. There's a function called Get Data. It's just part of the dropdown. And with this, every time this function runs, it's going to query analytics. It's going to go through all those configuration objects, query for all that data, and run those reports. So I can create this to be done on a timely basis, and I can make it happen every hour, every day. Here we'll have it every hour, run it every hour. So every hour, once this script is saved, every hour all the configurations are going to be read, and the script will just go to Google Analytics and pull data automatically, which is really nice. That means all the data is going to be updated without having to touch it or anything. Now, if there's an error, you can actually create a notification, and so this is really important to set up. You don't want to have the script running and causing errors and not knowing about it. So what we can do is we can change this to be immediately, and that means anytime the script runs and encounters an error, we'll immediately be emailed at our email here, and then we can go back in and fix it. Okay, so all I need to do is click OK, click Save, and that's it. The trigger's been saved. Now I can go ahead and close this. And now what will happen is every hour the script will automatically go to this get data function here and execute all the different configurations and update all the reports. So I just showed you now how to automate all your reports from analytics. The last step here is how you can create a dashboard, and it's really easy to do using Google Sites. So I'm going to go ahead back over to Google Drive. Actually, I'm going to go create a new tab and go to Google Sites. And Google Sites is free, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new Google site, my demo dash. Okay, pretty straightforward. The hardest part here is probably trying to type in this little code here. Okay, I think I've done it. I'm going to go ahead and create that site. Of course, I didn't do it right. Great. So I created a Google site. First thing I want to do here is go ahead and edit a page. We'll just do this one. And now I want to go over to the Insert menu and click Chart. And so all the charting, the data for the charts, it first shows you all the spreadsheets that you have access to here. And so we've been using this demo that I created in the spreadsheet, so I'll go ahead and select that. And because we created those charts in the spreadsheet, they're automatically getting pulled into here, which is really nice. So I'll go ahead and get that data over time chart. I'll go ahead and save that. And since we have another one, I'll go ahead and go to Insert Chart, go to my demo again. This one I'll do the pages of time. Go ahead and save it. Now all I need to do is save. Boom. There it is. There's my dashboard that I just created from scratch using Google Sites, Google Spreadsheets, and App Scripts. Now this is currently only available to myself. Now if I want to share it, it's really easy. The first thing I need to do is make sure that the data source that I have is available for everybody. So the first thing to do is enable sharing on this page. So I'll click on the sharing button. By default, it's private. So I'm going to go ahead and change that and say anyone with the link can go ahead and access that. Okay, no problem. And then now when I'm on my site, now all the data is available to anybody who has the link, and the site has the link. So now when I share this, it's quite nice because now I could share this through email, or I could Google Plus this to my friends, and I could send it to people who are interested in my site and say, hey, here's the updated data. Take a look. Let's improve the performance. Great. So I just went through everything. I showed you how to install and configure the Magic script. I showed you how you can create your first report, how to automate that report, and then how to build a dashboard. So the last steps here is all our various resources. Here's our resources. We wrote a full tutorial on how to actually write the code to create to query our API using App Scripts. So there's a tutorial if you want to write code. If you want to take a look at the reference for all the analytics data, there's a link for that here. There's a bunch of query parameters that I showed you in GA config tab. To get the full definition, take a look at our reference for the API. It's available here. And finally, there's over 200 dimensions and metrics you can query with our API. And so we created a comprehensive list at this link. Go ahead and go to that list, take a look, and hopefully this script will allow you to access all your data without writing any code, make it really easy to take that data out of analytics, do new things, and share it. Thanks.